up, good people? So I think I missed on the first topic because I thought we would get into an intense debate about our black women. But there really wasn't a lot of conversation. So I'm going to hit you with a topic that a lot of us have been dealing with lately. Something that we have probably all dealt with at some point in our lives. I promised you guys some heated debates. I shot and missed last week. I also promised you guys some laughs. I'm hoping those are coming soon. But I also promised you guys some tears. And this topic is definitely going to hit in that category. So the topic for today is how to deal with the loss of a loved one. This is going to be hard. I'm about to do something that black men have been taught since we were kids not to do because it was a sign of weakness. This reminds me of when I was coaching 6 and 7 year olds. We were undefeated and going into the Baby Bowl against the Vikings, another undefeated team. Their running back actually led the nation in rushing this year for Central Michigan University. We ended up taking our first loss, and a lot of the parents was yelling at their kids to stop crying and getting on them about showing their emotions. This kind of pissed me off because they were just passionate about playing football, and they were more frustrated about how they played than they were sad. They wanted to win. So I gathered everyone, including the parents, and addressed my team as I always did. And I won't go into details about the things I said, but I basically told them I would cry for them and started crying like a baby. So this is just one example of how black men are taught to not show their emotions. I've experienced death on many levels, but I'm going to talk about 3 that have really affected me in a way that I really had to dig deep to deal with and really live with on a daily basis. Those 3 people are my grandma Ellen, my brother-in-law Aaron, and my grandma Betty. Again, let's keep in mind what this forum is for. It's to help each other find ways to be better for our community. I'm not doing this so that you can all see me cry. I'm doing this so that we can talk about things that have helped us get through these losses, so that we don't fall into the depression and carry the pain every day. The things that help me may keep someone else from getting to a point that they can't take it anymore. So I'm asking all of you to join in and maybe just share how you handled your loss. You don't have to go into details like I am, but please give us some things that helped you handle it. Alright, so here we go. I've been practicing this for 2 weeks, so hopefully I can get through this without crying too bad or showing too many emotions. I got my little yellow rag here just in case. My first real experience with loss was my grandma Ellen. She was my everything. You know, we called her mom because, you know, that's what she was. She raised my brother and I pretty much by herself. My father ended up moving in with us, probably when I was 8 or 9. But he really wasn't around too much. He was working and stuff like that. She was a beautiful woman that was strong and caring. She was my first ride or die. I remember the night that my mom came into my room. I was a teenager, and when she told me, I remember it like yesterday. I was laying in my bed, and she walked in and told me, and I really didn't understand. I was in Michigan, so I hadn't physically seen my grandmother in months. So I think it just didn't register. I remember flying to California, and I know my mom was worried about me because I really had no reaction to it. I remember her asking me constantly, was I okay? Just checking on me, you good? You okay? What's going on? Talk to me, and I kind of shut down, just, I had no reaction, and I thought I was good, It wasn't until I seen her laying in the casket that I knew I was not okay. I lost it. Even to this day, I have a hard time walking up to caskets and seeing people laying there because of this. It's my first experience with death that has just burned in my mind, my grandmother laying in that casket. And I really struggled walking up the casket, seeing people that I loved laying there. I knew at that moment when I seen her that she was gone. And it hit me. Like, that was the finality of it. Like, it was over. I would never see her again, After the funeral, and we fly back home, and, I felt some guilt. I felt some guilt because I left her months ago knowing she really didn't want me to leave. And the other thing was that I wasn't there when she needed me. And I carried that guilt for years, man, and I never really talked about it. I pretty much internalized it. It took me a long time. I don't even know if I really had that conversation with my mother. That, the guilt that I felt when my grandmother passed. And then, like, one day I just missed her so much. And I was going through some things. And I found me a little quiet spot. And I just started talking to her. Like she was sitting right next to me. And I just let her know how I felt and what I was going through. And even though I didn't physically get a response from her, I felt better. It was like a weight was lifted off my back, and the guilt just kind of left because I felt that I could talk to her whenever I needed. And to this day, I still have moments that I sit down and let her know how things are going in my life. I know that sounds a little weird, but it helped me. If I never did that, I don't know how I would have dealt with that. That guilt, I internalized everything, so that guilt probably would have just been smacking me, pounding me. I don't know what I would have did. I consider myself a pretty strong person because I tend to handle things in a way that people don't see what I'm going through. So, I really struggled as a young guy, teenager, 13, 14, 15. I really struggled with finding a way to get through that situation. And when I talked to her that day, it's like everything just left. And any time that I get into a hard situation, I sit my ass down and I have a conversation with Ellen. And that always makes me feel better. So, I know it's a little weird, but, I talk to my grandmother whenever I feel the need. It has helped me stay close to her and keep her in my heart. Alright, my next situation was my first experience with someone that was not my blood relative. My guy, Aaron. He was that person that would make you want to kill him 1 minute and then give him everything you had if you needed it the next minute. I've never met a person that was dealt such a shitty hand that just didn't give a fuck and just made things happen regardless of what he had going against him. He just, he's that guy that would drop everything if someone needed it. No matter if you were a friend, family, if Aaron was your friend or if you was a friend with Aaron and you needed something, he was the guy to call. He would post Facebook statuses, and this was back when Facebook would have like where you was at, like your location would post with your status, and he would post and be somewhere in Pennsylvania, and you shoot him a text like, man, what are you doing in Pennsylvania? And he'd be like, man, somebody need me to come get him. and that's just the dude he was. He'd hop in his car and he'd ride. If you was him, if you was with him, that was your boy. He did whatever he had to do to help you. It's hard to explain the love that you have for Aaron because it never stops growing. Like, people that know him know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the love you have for him was just so deep. He was truly more. He was a guy that really became my brother. Like, I love him like I love my own. That was my guy. I remember when I got the call, I was at work, and all I heard was, "Ron, he's gone." And I was in shock because I felt that, that he lived forever. He's been through so much that he overcame everything. He was a fighter. He wouldn't give up. He was that person that you looked at and was like in disbelief of how strong and how tough he was. He had that heart that even though he was struggling, you never knew it. He always talked like things was great. The thing that made this loss even harder was that, I had a great relationship with my in-laws. I love my mother-in-law to death. She's like another mother to me. And to see all of them go through that pain, that was hard. My first experience with my kids having to deal with death to someone that they loved. I think that I got through it by pouring my pain into them. It was a time where they needed somebody to be there for them. And I think that I just poured everything I had into them, and that made it easier for me. Aaron was he was more like a brother to them than an uncle. They loved him to death. Adrian, I just remember them playing together and doing things, and he was that guy that my kids would call when they needed to talk to somebody and couldn't talk to their parents. Didn't matter what it was, he was gonna be there for them. He was gonna take up for them. He wasn't gonna say nothing. He was just that uncle that would do whatever they needed. And if they was wrong, he wouldn't tell us. That was a lot of me and his. Me and him getting into it was a lot of that. But it hit them hard. And just helping my kids get through it. Making myself available. That was what they needed. I found out that when kids are involved, we can't tell them how to feel. We have to allow them to express their pain. And I think that's a big thing with younger kids, is that we have to listen. Listen to how they feel. Listen to their hurt. Their hurt and pain is going to be different than ours. And I think for them, that's what they needed. And it's what I needed too. Because, with this situation, my kids was leaning on me, but they really didn't know that I was leaning on them too. That availability, I think, for kids that are going through stuff like this, that have lost their parents, their brothers, their sisters, uncles, grandmothers, talk to them, be there for them, let them know that you got their back. I really truly feel that that's what my kids needed, for us to just be open and honest and talk to them. Let them know that they was gonna be okay, you know, and I think that's important. The most recent one that I want to talk about is my grandma Betty. She was in her 90s. She was a sharp, well-traveled woman. I think she was in her late 70s, early 80s when my mom finally was like, maybe you don't need to drive to North Carolina no more. You know, maybe it's not a good idea. She was the type of person that was going to tell you exactly how it was, exactly what was on her mind, and she just didn't care. Like, she was going to let you know how she felt. Probably one of the realest people I've ever really known, because it wasn't gonna be no bullshit with her. It was gonna be straight raw. You know, she was gonna give it to you raw, tell you what it was. You know, however she felt. But then, you know, she had a love that you saw. You know, like especially like when she was with the kids, like she loved them to death. Like, it was like unconditional. I always remember a video that I have of her holding my granddaughter, rocking in her rocking chair, and just talking to her, and, you know, just enjoying, you know, that moment. And you can just see all over her face all the love, the way she was interacting with my granddaughter. You could just see that love that she had. You know, the thing that made this loss hard is that it happened right after they shut everything down for COVID. So we couldn't go see her before she passed, or hold a funeral, or even get together to mourn her loss. We still to this day have not been able to get the entire family together to celebrate her life. My mother, my aunt, and myself got together, and we had a drink in her honor. And my grandmother used to drink gin and tonic, and that's one of the worst drinks. You know, that was one of the hardest drinks to drink down, because we had a drink, some gin and tonic in her honor. You know, it's just, you know, I don't know, man. It's hard. It was hard to deal with that, because we couldn't be there. I remember my mother asking me if I wanted to talk to her on FaceTime, and the only thing that went through my head was that this is gonna be my last image of her, just like me walking up to the coffin. Like, even with Aaron, when Aaron passed, you know, I remember everybody going up to the coffin at the end of the funeral, and everybody was there, and I stood to the back, because that memory of my grandmother, that just being her last image. Like, even when Aaron passed, in the hospital, they was like, do you want to come in and say your goodbyes? And I never want to see, like, didn't want to see Aaron, I didn't want to see my grandma Betty at that stage, because the finality of my grandmother, my grandma Ellen, that image is still the last image I've had of her, and I didn't want that for Aaron and my grandma Betty. You know, I started to feel that feeling of guilt that I felt with my grandma Ellen, because I didn't spend enough time with her. You know, again, we couldn't be there for her when she needed us. You know, that guilt for me was hard, because I knew that my mother was feeling the same thing. And I couldn't really be there to physically check on my mom. You know, everything was shut down. We was all in the house. You know, mom is older. My aunt was going through some surgeries. They couldn't have people coming to the house to visit, you know. And that was rough. You know, we kind of was preparing ourselves for this day because, you know, she was in her 90s. We could tell her memory wasn't what it was. She would be telling me a story of something that happened 10 years ago, and then ask me how Deja's doing in school for like the 10th time in the last 30 minutes. You know, so we could tell that you know, that her health was declining. So we kind of had, you know, we kind of knew it was coming. But again, the fact that we couldn't be there, and my mother's one of the strongest women I know. But just the fact that I could not go and give her a hug really made it hard. The fact that I could not see her, the fact that I could not physically talk to her. My grandmother wanted to be cremated, so there wasn't really going to be a funeral anyway, but we just could not get together to support each other and make sure each other was okay. So with that, you know, we had to just talk as much as we could. We talk on the phone. I'd send her flowers here and there. You know, with the whole COVID thing, the thing that's going on now, you know, I know that we can get together again, but it's still hard. You know, you're still worried about people coming around, and I think the thing that has to be done now is just that communication. Again, even if you can't physically be there, call, text, send something. You know, it's a whole new age. But that's definitely the biggest thing with my grandma, was the fact that we still haven't celebrated her, and the fact that I could not be there for my mom. But again, through communication and constant talking, I think that we did okay. I think we're both good. All right, everyone. Enough of the crying show. I did a lot better than I thought I was going to do. But I think it's important for us to have this discussion and help our community get through some of their losses. I know a lot of friends that are struggling with loss of parents right now. A lot of friends that are going through this, and I can see the hurt. I can see the pain. So I invite all of you guys to come on here, read the comments. I know the videos are getting a little long, but just check out the video. Maybe you'll hear something that can help you get to that next stage, move on a little bit, feel the healing, find a way to be closer to your loss, and just help each other out. I know that one thing that I have never done, I haven't talked about therapy. You know, I think a lot of the black community is scared to go into therapy and talk to somebody about what they're feeling. I think we have a lack of trust for a lot of people. It takes a lot for us to get there. But I know firsthand that therapy is a legitimate way to help you deal with some things. It's a way for you to get stuff off your chest. I internalize a lot of stuff. I'm a Capricorn. I don't like to show my emotions a lot. I don't share a lot of my personal life with people. So I internalize everything. And I think that to have somebody that you can go and talk to and just relieve some of that stuff that's on your mind, relieve that stuff that's on your chest and on your heart, is a huge help. I highly recommend if you can talk to someone. Therapy is a huge asset that's underused. Close friends, family, find somebody that you trust and that you can, help get you through those phases. If you have kids, be there for your kids. Don't tell them how to feel. Let them tell you how they feel. Just, again, be available to them. There's times that, you know, as a kid, we don't want to talk to our parents. And sometimes you got to push the envelope a little bit. Just be open and honest with them and talk to them. Maybe share your feelings and your emotions with them and let them see, you know, how it's done. Again, I hope that this video helps a lot of people. I hope that you guys chime in and give us your opinion of things that you've done to help you get through loss. I hope you guys don't judge me for being a crybaby on here, but let's just try and help each other get through this phase of our lives. I got a lot of friends that are going through it, and I'm praying for all of you guys. Let's just hit that subscribe. Share this video with as many people as you can, and let's have an open conversation about how we deal with loss. I appreciate y'all, and let's keep moving forward.